The feared alien queen's daughters vanished without a trace, only to be found curled up asleep on the chest of the one human soldier who should have been their enemy. Captain Cole Payne had not signed up to be a babysitter. After 15 long years of brutal war, blood, and loss, the last thing he wanted was to guide children through an alien world that once tried to kill him. Yet, there he was, walking through the crowded spaceport, surrounded by strange smells of fuel and alien spices. Heavy boots echoing on metal floors, with only his loyal dog walking beside him. His armor felt heavier than usual. His past felt closer than ever. And deep inside, he wondered how a soldier like him had ended up protecting the very future of an enemy empire. The peace between humans and the Vidians was only 3 months old, fragile and shaky, like glass ready to shatter. Too many wounds were still fresh, and too much hatred still burned on both sides. Cole knew this spaceport was full of dangerous groups who hated humans and wanted war to return. He knew he should walk away. It was not his responsibility. Were alien children not his people? But they were just children, small and frightened, lost in the worst part of the city. And even after everything the Vidians had done to his people, even after all the death and destruction, he could not leave them here. Because if someone hurt these girls, if someone used them as weapons, the peace would die, and the galaxy would fall back into war. Deep down, no matter how tired he was of fighting, he could not let that happen. Cole was guiding the 3 small girls through the twisting paths of the spaceport, his hand always close to his weapon, his eyes scanning every shadow. The crowds moved around them in strange waves of color and sound. Tall aliens with glowing skin, merchants shouting in sharp voices, machines hissing with heat and power. The girls stayed close to him, their small hands brushing against his armor from time to time, as if to make sure he was real. One of them reached out and gently touched his dog's fur, giggling softly at how warm and soft it felt. Cole told them to stay close and not wander, his voice rough from years of shouting commands in battle. They told him their names, Talia, Mira, and Lena, and he gave them his. He did not mention his rank this time. Right now, he was not a soldier. He was just a man trying to get 3 lost children somewhere safe. The deeper they went, the quieter the spaceport became. Shops closed their doors. Merchants packed their goods in a hurry. Something was wrong. Cole felt it in his chest before. He saw it with his eyes. When he asked what was happening, an alien passerby whispered about a royal announcement and rushed away. That was when Cole looked at the girls more carefully. Their dresses were too fine. Their posture was too calm. The way others glanced at them was too careful. These were not ordinary children. Before he could press them for answers, heavy boots thundered through the streets. Voices barked in a sharp alien tongue. Royal guards were moving fast through the district. The girls froze. Fear flashed across their faces. Cole did not ask questions this time. He pulled them into the shadow of a massive pillar and told them to stay silent. Exhaustion caught up to him as they waited there. The girls, warm and small, curled up against his armored chest without asking. His dog lay beside his legs, alert but calm. For the first time in days, quiet settled around him. Against his better judgment, Cole closed his eyes. When he opened them again, cold metal touched his throat. Royal guards surrounded him, weapons. Raised his heart, slammed in his chest until the queen herself stepped forward. Tall, powerful, emerald-skinned. Her eyes burned with a fire. He remembered from the battlefield. This was Empress Valora, the ruler he had once fought against across the stars. And the 3 children sleeping peacefully against his chest were her daughters. The guards held their weapons steady as she questioned him.
Oh.
Cole stood slow and careful. Refusing to show fear, he told her the truth. The girls were lost. He found them in a dangerous district. He protected them, nothing more. For a long moment, the air felt thin and dangerous. Then, to everyone's shock, the queen laughed. Not cruelly, not coldly, but with genuine surprise. She said her daughters trusted few outsiders, and they trusted him enough to sleep in his arms. That alone told her everything she needed to know. Then she made him an offer that was not really an offer at all. She asked him to remain at her court as a human liaison, someone who could help guide the fragile peace between their worlds. His commander, she said, had already agreed. Cole understood the truth instantly. This was duty disguised as choice. No real path to refuse, and with the Queen's daughters watching him with bright, hopeful eyes, he accepted. As the royal transport lifted into the sky and carried him toward the heart of the alien empire, Cole felt the weight of his life shifting once again. He had walked into this day as a tired soldier, was leaving it as something else entirely. A week into his new assignment, Cole already felt like he had stepped into a different kind of battlefield. The Vidian royal palace was vast, elegant, and full of quiet danger. Every smile seemed practiced. Every polite word felt layered with meaning he did not yet understand. He moved through halls of shining stone and glowing light with the same caution he once used in ruined cities and war zones. Only now, instead of enemies with rifles, he faced nobles with sharp eyes and sharper intentions. Empress Valora insisted on daily cultural exchange sessions. Today's lesson was Vidian ceremonial combat. Cole stood across from her in the private training arena, his stance solid and grounded like every instructor had drilled into him since his first day as a Marine. Valora circled him slowly, studying his balance. She told him his posture was too rigid and that Vidian warriors flowed like water instead of standing like stone. When she stepped close and placed her hands on his shoulders to adjust his stance, a strange tension ran through him. Her touch was firm but careful, professional, yet somehow personal. She commented on the warmth of his body, how different it was from her own cooler skin. Cole tried to answer calmly, but her nearness made his focus slip in ways that had nothing to do with battle. Before he could regain that focus, alarms tore through the palace. The sound was sharp and urgent. A breach had been reported near the Eastern Gardens. Cole's heart dropped instantly. The princesses were in the garden pavilion with their tutors. Valora moved to issue commands to the guards, but Cole did not wait. He ran. His dog was already moving at his side, muscles coiled with purpose, energy. Bolts flashed through the garden paths as Cole reached the scene. 2 royal guards lay on the ground, their armor smoking. 3 attackers moved toward the pavilion where the children hid. There was no time for caution. Cole attacked without hesitation. He slammed into the first assailant and drove him into the stone path. His dog leaped at the second, dragging his weapon from his hands. Cole grabbed the fallen energy pistol and fired twice, disabling the 3rd attacker before they could escape. The entire battle lasted seconds, but every heartbeat burned into his memory. The princesses ran to him the moment it was over, their faces pale with fear but alive with relief. He checked them quickly for injuries. They were unharmed. Valora arrived moments later, rage and terror clashing in her eyes until she saw her daughters safe. She should have been angry that Cole had broken protocol. Instead, she praised him before the entire guard. She told them that while others waited for orders, the human acted. And action, she reminded them, was why the alliance with humanity would make their empire stronger. The guards saluted Cole in unison. For the first time since his arrival, he was no longer just a guest. He was accepted. That night, Valora summoned him to her private study. The palace was quiet now. The danger temporarily passed. She told him the attackers were hired mercenaries working against the alliance. Then she admitted something that surprised him. She had been testing him since the day he arrived, pushing him, watching how he reacted under pressure, and he had passed every test. Their voices lowered. The space between them grew thin with meaning. She spoke of human passion with a curiosity that was no longer purely political. Cole felt the pull between them tighten, sharp and undeniable, just as that tension reached a breaking point. The palace alarms screamed again. This time, the alarm came from the princess's quarters. Cole and Valora rushed through the halls together, only to find the 3 girls sitting calmly among scattered games, pretending innocence with wide eyes. The alarm, it seemed, had been triggered on purpose. The girls admitted they had been discussing human affection. They spoke openly and without shame about kissing, holding hands, and even mating for life. Cole stood frozen with embarrassment. While Valora listened with dry amusement, the truth was clear. The girls were playing matchmaker. After they were sent to bed and punished for their little experiment, Valora and Cole walked together in quiet reflection.
Oh?
She admitted that the girls had always been clever, too clever sometimes. As they parted that night, the tension between them was no longer hidden, it was waiting. The next evening, Cole sat on the soft cushions of the princess's common room, finishing one of his heroic bedtime stories. The three girls listened with wide eyes as he spoke about brave knights, evil monsters, and hidden treasures. His dog lay nearby, half asleep but always alert. When the story ended, Lena immediately asked the question Cole had been hoping to avoid. She wanted to know if the brave knight married the queen in the end. Cole hesitated and said some stories left, that part to the imagination. Mira, confident as always, declared that of course the knight married the queen. Talia simply smiled, as if she already knew the answer. The conversation might have ended there, if Mira had not suddenly asked whether Lord Nexus disliked him because he was different. The question caught Cole off guard. Lord Nexus was the minister of security, a powerful figure in the palace. Cole asked what she meant. Talia explained that they had overheard Lord Nexus speaking with Lady Perth in the garden. He had spoken badly about humans, saying they could not be trusted, especially ones close to the throne. Lena added that he said the plan was almost ready, and that the royal line would soon be purified. The words sent a chill through Cole's body. Carefully keeping his voice calm, Cole asked how they had heard all this. That was when the girls revealed their secret. They had found a hidden tunnel behind a bookshelf in the nursery long ago, connected to the garden fountain. They used it for hiding during games. Cole felt a tight knot form in his chest. Secret. Tunnels inside a royal palace were not playful discoveries. They were disasters waiting to happen. He ordered the girls to stay with their guards and immediately went to investigate the tunnel himself. Crawling through the narrow space, he moved slowly and silently until he reached the hidden grate behind the fountain. Through the gaps, he saw Lord Nexus pacing with Lady Perth. They spoke openly, believing they were alone. Nexus confirmed their plan. The mercenary attack had been a distraction. The real strike would come that night. The human, he said, would be blamed for killing the Empress. The alliance would collapse. War would return. And in the chaos, the conspirators would take control of the empire. The princesses, he added coldly, would be unfortunate casualties. Cole pulled away from the grate. With his blood pounding in his ears, he rushed back through the tunnel and emerged into the nursery, where the girls waited anxiously with their guards. He ordered immediate lockdown of the royal wing and doubled all security. Then he knelt before the girls and told them the truth. Their mother was in danger, but he promised he would protect her. He told them to stay with their guards and to trust him. And for once the girls did not argue. As Cole hurried through the palace to find Valora, they nearly collided in the corridor. Before she could speak, he told her everything. The secret tunnels, the overheard conversation, the assassination plan. Valora listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with every word. When he finished, she did not look shocked. She only looked certain. She said she had long suspected Lord Nexus but lacked proof. Thanks to her daughters and Cole, she finally had it. She took his hand in public without hesitation. The message was clear to the court, and she told him they would not stop the trap. They would reverse it. Late that night, the palace grew quiet as the hour of the planned betrayal drew near. Inside the Empress's private chambers, Valora helped fasten the final piece of ceremonial armor onto Cole's shoulder. The emerald metal fit his body with an unfamiliar elegance, far different from the heavy combat gear he was used to. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air felt heavy with everything unsaid. Cole told her they would get through this. Valora met his eyes and, in a rare moment of softness, pressed her forehead to his in the old Vidian gesture of trust. Then, without thinking, Cole added a brief human kiss. It was not long, but it carried every promise they had not yet spoken aloud. The plan was simple, but dangerous. Valora would pretend to retire for the night while Cole was seen leaving her. Chambers, in truth, she would wait hidden in a side room, and a decoy would rest beneath the covers of her bed. Cole would slip through the secret passage and watch for the assassins from the shadows. If Lord Nexus and his allies moved as planned, they would walk straight into their own capture. As Cole moved through the narrow passage behind the walls, he suddenly froze. 3 small shapes stood ahead in the darkness. The princesses had followed him with his dog beside them like a silent guardian. Cole felt both fear and frustration surge at once. They said they wanted to help, that they knew the tunnels better than anyone. With no time left to argue, Cole ordered them to stay far behind him and to run at the first sign of danger. They nodded, serious and silent now. The palace bells rang midnight from the hidden grate. Cole watched the secret entrance to the Empress's chamber slide open. Lord Nexus entered first, followed by Lady Perth and 2 armed guards loyal to him. Their weapons were drawn. Nexus whispered that the human must take the blame and that the Empress must die quietly. They moved toward the bed, toward the shape beneath the blankets. The moment Nexus raised his weapon, Cole stepped out of the shadows and aimed his sidearm at them. At the same instant, the decoy shifted, revealing its false shape. Valora emerged from the hidden chamber with loyal guards at her side.
Right.
The trap had closed. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Nexus lunged. He did not strike at Valora. He rushed toward the hidden grate where the princesses were hiding. Cole moved without thought. He threw himself between the blade and the children. Pain burned through his shoulder as the energy weapon cut through ceremonial armor and flesh. Before Nexus could strike again, his dog slammed into him with a furious growl, knocking him hard against the wall. The loyal guards rushed in and overpowered the traitors. Lady Perth tried to flee through the secret passage, only to find the princesses had rolled a heavy decorative urn into the narrow tunnel, blocking her escape. Within moments, the coup was over. Cole collapsed to one knee as the heat of his wound spread through his arm. Valora rushed to him at once and pressed a healing salve into the burned flesh with steady hands. Her voice trembled with anger and fear as she called him foolish for risking his life. Cole only smiled through the pain and told her it worked. The princesses ran to him the moment the danger passed, their faces full of worry and pride at the same time. They said he was a true hero, just like in the stories. Valora looked at her daughters, then back at Cole, and something in her expression softened forever. 1 month later, the grand hall of the Vidian Palace was filled with leaders, nobles, and soldiers from many worlds. Human officers stood beside alien diplomats, all gathered beneath glowing crystal lights to witness a moment that would be remembered for generations. Cole stood in ceremonial armor beside the royal throne, the faint scar on his shoulder still visible beneath the emerald metal. His dog waited proudly at his side. The 3 princesses sat just below the Empress on smaller thrones, unusually calm for once, though their bright eyes never stopped moving. When Empress Valora rose to speak, silence fell across the hall. Her voice carried easily through the vast space as she spoke of betrayal, courage, and the narrow escape that had saved both her family and the fragile peace between worlds. Then she spoke of Cole. She said he arrived as a reluctant soldier bound by duty. He became a protector of her daughters when no one else stood close enough. He became a defender of her throne when it mattered most. And finally, she said, he became something far more rare, someone she trusted with her life and her future. The ancient laws of the Empire allowed a monarch to choose a consort from any world, to any species, but only through acts of unmatched loyalty and courage. Valora said Cole had proven himself beyond all doubt. When she offered her hand, Cole stepped forward and took it, their fingers intertwined in a blending of human and Vidian custom. Soft murmurs spread across the hall, followed by thunderous applause as the truth became undeniable. Colpane, once a war-scarred human captain, was now a royal consort and imperial protector. As the ceremony ended, the princesses could no longer hold back. They broke formality without hesitation and rushed forward, wrapping their arms around both their mother and Cole. The crowd laughed softly at the innocent rebellion. Valora smiled without scolding them. Cole laughed as he lifted them into his arms, one by one, just as he had done on the day everything changed. Later that evening, in quiet chambers far from the noise of the celebration, Cole lay beside Valora. As she rested against his chest, her body was cooler than his, fitting against him in a familiar way that now felt like home. He told her his life had taken turns he never could have imagined. She told him the strongest unions were often forged in the most unexpected ways. Somewhere nearby, the soft sounds of the princesses sleeping drifted through the halls. The next night, as promised, Cole sat with the three girls once more and finished their favorite story about a brave knight and an alien queen. When Lena asked again if the knight married the queen, Cole no longer hesitated. He said some stories were not just told, some stories were lived. The girls smiled, already knowing the answer. And so, what began with three lost children seeking safety in the arms of a former enemy became something far greater. A family, a future, strong enough to outlive the war that once tried to destroy them all.